Alrighty. Action. Welcome to Morning Minutes. Myself, Michael Burgio Mark Novak, and this morning we are talking about what should you buy, your bird's eye view from our perspective and our opinion on what are the sort of the top questions and thoughts that go through our mind when we look at a property, if we were to buy it or list it and go, well, these are the benefits and what we use to sell it. Because I feel, Mark, you and I would probably have a different top 5 questions to ourselves, but a very different, say, top questions that your mum and dad investor or purchaser would be looking at. And I feel if they could sometimes tweak how they look at a property, potentially how we look at a property, there could be some benefit there. Not saying we are the greatest, but as you said last night, Mark, you've been doing it for 30 years. I've been doing it for 7. We're across the board with a lot of transactions. So it's sort of, you could assume that we've got some good value because we're doing it every day compared to someone who maybe has bought once or knows someone who has bought. So, Mark, like, where do you want to start? Like, what are you looking for?
Honestly, the last 4 weeks, I've felt like it's a time to stop and evaluate. And today was really the first day that I woke up and I thought, forge forward. Forge forward. Like, I didn't think it was the right thing to do over the last couple of weeks. Like, I didn't think it was, it was appropriate. Whereas now I feel like it's actually a really good time to buy. And I thought that, and I know not everyone's not in the position, but guess what? That's always been the case.
True.
Right? You know what I mean? So there are people that are in hardship that are more than ever.
Yes.
I think. And there are people that are actually doing okay. But at the end of the day, whether through all those trials and tribulations as real estate agents, our job is to get stuff rented and to get stuff sold. That's why we're employed. We're employed to get stuff rented for people, homes, housing, shelter, and sold and rented. And today was the first day where I got up and thought, you know what? Like, it is a terrific time to be making a move. And that's why I wanted to ask you this morning, Michael. And it was a pretty hard answer for you to give when I asked you off air before. And I was like, this is not a consulting question. This is a genuine, money's in your back pocket. What's the best opportunity that you see out there that you're excited about, that you would buy with your money, because you've got the privilege of all of the knowledge in the local market and you've got the privilege of all of the stock. So what would you buy?
So you just broke up a bit. And I think because we did this talk a week ago, Mark, get comfortable being uncomfortable. And I reckon people are now. People are now comfortable being uncomfortable. And you hit the nail on the head with your previous comment. It's always been the case that some people can buy and can't buy. That's always been real estate. And I think now, like, I was going through realestate.com yesterday, and God, the properties that have sold in the last 2 weeks, there've been some great buys. Like on some that I saw in Balgowlah residential, because there's more turnover in resi, like 10-20% lower than what it would have been a month ago. So I think now people are comfortable being uncomfortable. You need to be looking at the market because there's some great opportunities out there. And I'll bring up one
it's your job. It's my job to get stuff rented and sold, and it's your job to get stuff rented and sold. So being in that position, and what would you buy? What's the property that you
so I'm just bringing it up on the screen.
So for
bring
people
it up on the screen now.
So for people that are watching on Insta, on Facebook, we're just bringing up a live screen. So just I'll talk you through it.
Yeah. Well, I can sort of change into there.
Oh, great.
So I've always loved mixed use properties with a combination of commercial and residential, because you're getting the best of both worlds. And I think that's right now, that's even more imperative, because as we see, the money never goes from the industry. It just, the energy transfers. So if it comes out of resi, it goes into commercial, like I just find. So it's good to have a combination of both. With this property, having that commercial element, being main road exposure, it's phenomenal. So I love it because it's one of the only commercial properties on that side of the road, as the zoning changed 40 years ago, and it was the only one there. So I think a big thing is having, we've all seen or heard of the consequences of oversupply. When you've got a unit and they build 1,000 and it affects pricing, we've all heard that. So when you're looking at a property, commercial or residential, it's always good to know where, if there is that trend of oversupply. And this being the only one on that side of the road besides this service station as commercial zoning, it's all residential. You've got a great exclusivity. Yeah, you've got a great exclusivity that you're the only commercial there. So at the moment,
it's a restaurant downstairs that's currently rented.
Yes.
And upstairs,
I'll bring the floor plan. As you can see, the whole ground floor is commercial usage restaurant at the moment, and half of upstairs. And then it has a 2-bedroom and apartment upstairs. Like, so you've always got to look at, if I was buying, you look at what it's currently bringing in compared to what it should be bringing in, current v market. And then the biggest thing I look at, what sort of probably excites me more, is what it can be. What usages can I do within? And like, if I look here, you've got the restaurant down there, which is great. But then I look upstairs.
How much is this?
One thing, this is a 2.4 million. It's got a net income of about 160 a year. So it's almost a 7% net return as is, which is phenomenal. So right now, I think a big thing is you've got to buy properties which are making you money now, and because things are tough, money's cheap. So it needs to be positive is probably the rule. I'll be looking at any property in times like this where there could be,
Out of any properties that are for sale at the moment that you have knowledge of, with your bird's eye view,
this is one of them.
With your knowledge, this is the one that you'd go for.
Yes.
And
and that's because it's the positive cash flow now.
Yep. So what am I borrowing my money on to buy
positive cash
like
flow?
This?
Probably 4%.
So I'm borrowing my money at 4. So if I'm borrowing 2.5, that's 80. It's 100 Gs if I'm borrowing all of it. 100 Gs if I'm borrowing all of it. And what's the rent at the moment?
160.
So I can borrow all the money and I'm still going to be up 50 or 60 grand. Yeah. And obviously you've got other tax, there's some other costs associated that can bring that down a little bit. But on face value, positively geared by a long shot.
Yes. And to be honest, the property's at its, like I see, only up potential, only up.
So you think
because
it's
I feel
under-rented?
it's at the minimum income now. Yes. Under-rented heavily and underutilized.
Okay. So what would you do to ratchet that rent upwards?
So first of all, the easy upstairs, you've got, as you can see, the 2 plates here is 150 square meters. What I feel would do better there, because we've done a lot of boarding houses and studio accommodation, young professional accommodation we call them, but low cost accommodation, does really well despite being on a main road. So we know that the good one, like great size is about 30 square meters internal. You've got over 150 square meters there, and it's a very straight. So I would make 5 to 6 studio apartments on that top floor, which will all have their own little private balcony, which is already built at the back. So it's currently a 2-bedder getting 25, 30 grand a year. I would convert that to 5 studios, which would get 110 grand a year.
If you could get that approved. Question, and that's likely, you reckon, but question, would you honestly be buying a restaurant at the moment?
So this is where it comes in. I would focus on, the answer is yes, with circumstances. So with this one, I can offset the rental, the apartment rent, the commercial rent by increasing the residential at this stage. So let's say you get 0 for the restaurant, you would then get 100.
It's a big restaurant downstairs, yeah?
It is. It's over 200 square meters. So I could offset the 0 money for the restaurant by getting the apartments up to 110,000 a year. And we know the payback figure you just said is 100. Okay, so tackle one thing at a time. So then you've done upstairs, you're getting 110 grand a year. Now, this has been standing there for 40 years. Restaurants may not be the best investment now or cancel. That sort of market's changed. What is doing really well is sort of furniture stores, medical, main road showrooms are doing really well.
Okay.
Then I would, like if the restaurant's going well, paying bills, no problem. But where I can see a big jump is that timber, for example, is only a facade. It's got Besser brick behind it. So you would take that off, show a nice exposed concrete, render it, and then I would possibly look, the timber's on the front of the building, but that's only a facade for looks. It's not the actual structure. The structure's sandstone and Besser brick. So I would take that off and maybe look for a medical tenant. Medical industry is going really big at the moment, a dry cleaner. I would sort of change that use downstairs from potentially a restaurant further.
We spent a lot of time on that place. That's a good buy. Now, what I would buy.
Yep.
Tor Road.
Okay, let me bring it up while we've got you.
Now, guys, ladies and gentlemen, the reason I would buy this is, again, fortunate enough we've got the eagle eye to see the good buys in the marketplace. That's what we're sharing this morning with you. Michael's best buy and Mark's best buy. And honestly, for some reason, I woke up this morning and thought, you know what? That's my job. My job's to sell stuff. My job's to rent stuff. Can I genuinely put my hand on my heart and say, this is a very good buy? And what would that property be? It would be Tor Road. So I wanted to show everyone Tor Road. So
the takeout's what we're saying, guys, is to take out how we look at it and what we're saying, and then you can evaluate that to any property sort of thing. That's the big takeout of today, plus 2 great properties to buy.
Well, do you know what? If you're going to go to a doctor, you go to the doctor that specialises in X or Y or Z. So at the end of the day, if you're going to ask a professional what to buy, what property to buy, like, you know, we're going to happily show you what we would buy. It's got to be a good buy. Do you know what I mean? Like there's no bullshitting around. That's just straight up. These properties will sell either way. We don't need to give them the big sprig that we're giving today, but hand on my heart, this is why they're good to buy. Now, guys, have a look at the block of land. Ooh. This is the big asset on Tor Road that I wanted to show you. Now, Tor Road's a corner block. Now, to the left of it, you probably Fisher Road, DY. People probably affectionately know Kim's Corner Store. It's probably one of the most prominent corner stores on the northern beaches. It's an old house.
To the left of the image, looking down, to the left of the image, to give people idea. And that road is Tor Road there. And Fisher Road is where you see that red car. Yeah.
Yep. So Fisher's busy road. Now, the reason I like this is, you're going to be buying it for circa 1617, as is. You're going to be borrowing your money interest only at about 3.5% from the banks as an investment these days. So that puts you at about 75, 80 grand, if my maths are right. Hang on a sec. 33, 4, 40, 60. At about 60, 65 is going to be your interest payment. And you can fix these rates as well if you're worried about interest rates. Now, at the moment, the property is actually rented. So there's 2 rents. There's actually, believe it or not, there's 3 driveways, which I love, because it's hard to get a driveway these days. Council doesn't like giving them away because they're deleting car spaces on the road. Mm-hmm. Done nicely inside.
Let me have a look. Look, 1 driveway there, 2 driveways there, and 3. Where's the side? Oh, yeah, down the side in between the homes. Wow. Okay.
So this puppy here, as is, your interest is going to be 65K, but as is, the rent is it's sitting at about the 900 and the 550. So
Yes.
you're getting about, I think it works out to 50 for that. Then that on top, 75. You're getting about 75 grand rent already on that property as is. So it's residential, lower rates, lower deposits. Commercial, you generally need a 30-35% deposit. Residential, you need generally a 20% deposit. That's a good buy. Now, here's the kicker, because you had a kicker on your one, Michael, on your commercial one. My kicker on this one is, at the moment, you can get approvals for boarding houses of 12. So just imagine if you could get it approved. If not, you've got a good backup plan. You've got some great incomes there. If you could get it approved, you can potentially get 12 incomes at $450 a week.
Yeah, phenomenal. And that's, you've always got to look at what it is, what it can be, and then if there's any sort of big development upshot or anything there. Let me turn the cameras back to us. Beautiful. There we go.
What would you buy and why?
Yeah. What would you buy and why? Now is a great time to be buying when a lot of people are sitting on the fence. Anyone on the market, they want deals to be done. We've said it before, Mark. Make an offer. We're back to that make an offer market, aren't we? Offers are free.
And you know what? It's not a bad thing. Being an opportunist is also supporting the economy. The freezing of the blood, the body will just die. You know what I mean? So, to keep it circulating, to still, take advantage and get a good buy while you can, because I just know at these interest rates, when we're looking back in years to come, the property market's just going to go bananas.
Yeah, I just know it's going to soar once all this behind us. Maybe a month to adjust back to the norm, or old norm, or the new norm, and then I feel it's going to surge. Interest rates are low. Money, if you can get it, is really easy to get. So, guys. Don't put your head in the sand. Look at properties, especially if you had to make the move anyway. It's a great time, and that's a bit of insight of how we look at it.
And Michael, even for renting, hey.
Oh, 100%. Same. Like renting, we've said it before, there's some good deals out there to be renting. So to shift to home, Yeah,
if you want to move house, there's some very, very good rents out there now. And if you want to move your business, there's some unbelievable rents out there at the moment. Take advantage. And at the moment, particularly if you're a tenant that's a solid tenant, an owner will value you more and potentially rent their property to you for less because they know you're a solid tenant.
Very true. Hey, Steph, thanks for jumping on. Brett, Admar, as always, love having you on. Any questions, shoot, and any questions on previous vids as well. We've had some great traction over late with